Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Couch GMs podcast. It is Thursday, July 9th, 2026. I'm your host, George Kurt, joined by, yet again, the one and only Cody Roadcap. Back from another ship, I see. How you doing?
I'm doing. Did the music ever play?
It
Or
did,
is
yeah. You didn't change the
so
background, but that's fine.
that's okay. You can't tell right now. The music never played on my end. So if I restarted it halfway through, I apologize. I could see it going across the screen.
hmm
Uh, so yeah,
I'll say it
get,
only played once for me. It sounded perfect. We'll find out in post how it really was.
oh, perfect, great. But yeah, it wouldn't be a Couch Hands podcast if Cody didn't mess up the intro somehow. So let's first of all, we're live. Got to get that up here, and I'm just coming back from vacation, so I'm feeling a little blue.
Yeah, I understand that. That makes sense. But let's say it's not quite training camp, but it's training camp for all of us. We're ramping up for training camp. We're ramping up for the preseason, so it's okay to get those bugs worked out now, and then when we get to the regular season, we're off and running.
No, I like that for sure.
Anyway, why don't you follow us at the Couch GMs on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok to get even more than you do from the show. You can interact with us there or watch us live Thursday nights during the off season here at 6:30 East on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And you can join in the discussion there. We have a lot of mock drafts coming up. We have some fantasy rankings coming up. Today, we're going to talk about some of our favorite guys heading into the 2026 season. But first off, Cody, why don't we check out what is happening? You and I have been going back and forth a little bit on the Malik Neighbors thing since his injury, and we heard that there was multiple surgeries. It was basically confirmed through reports over the last few days that he did have to get a second surgery on his knee, something to do with something in there that was limiting his range of motion. And they're expecting Malik Neighbors to start on PUP, miss the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season, and they're not sure if it's going to be longer than that, or at least he is not expected to be 100% at that point if he does come back. Very concerning words that go along with what we've been speculating.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's one of those things too that like obviously we've been kind of following this for a while now. We've thought those, how it's been going. Uh but the Giants aren't a team that like I think is going to compete for a Super Bowl this year. I don't think you thought the same thing.
I
So
think they're going to be
like
better.
I think they're better. Obviously got Harbaugh, but the whole like maybe he'll back at week 4 or 5, but he might not be 100%. Let this dude get 100%. Like
Yeah.
he's a young player. Like if he misses another season, like that stinks for NFL, stinks for uh fantasy, but like he's still a young player. He still has a lot of upside. Like let him get healthy. Like let's not rush him back. And as fantasy players, we probably shouldn't count on him this year in general.
Yeah, I know today we're talking my guys, but if you had not my guys, I think Malik Neighbors is near the top of both of our lists just because it's not worth the risk, especially because he's still being drafted at this point in the offseason fairly high.
Yeah, I think that number might change as we get through draft season and we more and more comes out and you get into training camp and he actually starts on PUP and whatnot. Um, Now he is going to be a guy like you said he wasn't not my guy, and he definitely wouldn't be. And he's currently the wide receiver 17, and that's definitely rich for me at this point. But we get into draft season, he starts falling into that wide receiver 40 to 60 range, maybe even late 30s, and you have that IR spot. That's where it gets a
Mhm.
little bit interesting. To kind of wait and see how it all plays out. But that's a little bit far away to like really break it down to those numbers.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on how his ADP changes as we get closer. And I'm sure since we are going to start doing mock drafts by the end of this month, we'll probably start seeing that wave hitting as we're doing mocks. It'll change every single week. So follow along with us if you're interested in that, and we're going to keep you updated on any updates from Malik Neighbors. Something fun. I'm a little upset this didn't come out last week when I did our show with Kempy talking about fantasy platforms and ways to play fantasy, etc. Yahoo came out today on Thursday and said that they're going to have college football fantasy popping up on the platform. I know Cody's super excited.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll be a ton of fun. We'll definitely have to, you know, experiment with that. We're definitely going to still be an NFL fantasy podcast, but you might see a college football, mock draft, and I think that'll help, casual people start to, it'll only help improve people how they feel about the draft and getting to know some of these players and get more familiarized with these, with these names, and you know, it'll be interesting if we get to a point, you can, and probably Sleeper, since you talked about it last week, again, not a sponsor, uh, introduces like the Madden college football thing where you start a dynasty league, draft a player in college, and he's automatically in your NFL one or something like that down the line. But let's get through one season of it for it. It is limited to the Power Four conferences, which I think is good because you're not fighting for the guy at South Dakota State that's putting up all those kind of yards and stuff like that. But should be a ton of fun. And Jeremiah Smith 101.
Yeah, I think that's gonna happen. I'm already envisioning this, and I'll get off this tangent as quickly as I can. But like, you have two leagues that run concurrent, same players. You play college on Saturdays and NFL on Sundays, and then once those guys graduate, like every year, you can keep one person who's graduating onto your actual fantasy football roster.
Yeah, that would be a ton of fun. Almost like a keeper league, but it spills into your college fantasy
Yeah,
roster.
exactly.
Obviously, like you said, it would have to be the same league mate, same team for it to all work out. So probably very niche.
Sounds
The
like
other
something
thing
we
I'm
would
interested,
do.
yes, for sure, 100%. The other thing I'm interesting too is like in college football, to my knowledge, I don't think it's changed yet. Sack numbers go against quarterback rushing yards. Like if you
Mm,
take a sack, like you lose rushing yards. So like I think that'll play a factor into fantasy people. That'll be very different from the NFL. Like running quarterbacks are quote unquote cheat codes in the NFL because when they take a sack, they don't lose rushing yards, but that's not the same in college football.
that would be interesting. It's interesting enough just to think about how much different it would play, not only from that case, but like you said, there's people that put up video game numbers in college, and some of those top end players are going to be even more valuable in like playing college fantasy as they would be playing in the NFL because things are a lot more on a level playing field playing in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't have anything else for what's happening. I don't know about
I,
you.
it's kind of something.
Okay.
Um, I actually saw this right before we got online, and I forgot to tell you about it. It's not really news related, but it's kind of like if you remember a couple weeks ago, heck, probably a month ago at this point, we did our 32 quarterback rankings heading into the NFL season. It might have been a couple more because we didn't know who the starters were, so to speak. And we got a lot of pushback on some of those players. But PFF, I know they went through some changes this offseason as well, but they dropped their rankings of 32 quarterbacks. So I was just going to, I don't have our list in front of us. I'm not super prepared, but I was going to read some of them to you just so that we can kind of compare to what we did, what other people are seeing as well. And I think the easy thing off the top is we had that, what was it, S tier, so to speak.
Yep.
We had 5 guys in it. We didn't put ours in a specific order, but Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Matt Stafford were the 5.
That
PFF
matches
also
us.
has them as 1 through 5.
Okay, good.
Who's number 6?
This is where we struggle because I mean the A tier. I feel like almost everybody in the A tier we got some kind of flack for. I think even though we didn't like hard rank it, the next person we had was Dak Prescott.
Yeah, so Dak Prescott is 8 on this list. So
Not
pretty
far.
close.
Yeah.
But it's actually one of the people that we debated the most about. Jordan Love.
Oh.
Jordan Love is 6. Herbert
And
is
Jordan
7.
Love's probably one of the people that had the most "Why is he even in A tier?" comments.
Yeah, obviously I'm wearing the green and gold. I had to give a shout out to because some other people are seeing it too. Dak Prescott is 8. I said Justin Herbert was 7. Drake May 9. So they're really buying into that season last year. And then another interesting one at 10 is Brock Purdy, which he was the guy that like we were like, you put him at 9 or 16. Like we don't.
Yep.
So
he was everyone before that was in our A tier. There's a couple people that weren't there. B tier was Brock Purdy. It's still not that far off from our list.
Trevor Lawrence was 11.
He was the other A tier. There's one more A tier.
Jaden Daniels was 12.
Okay, he was B.
Caleb Williams was 13. I know who you're waiting for.
Yeah, exactly. He was B. So there's only one
Sam
other person
Darnold-
in A tier.
Sam Darnold is 14.
Yep.
Then our final guy, Jalen Hurts at 15.
So that's the only one there was really a discrepancy on.
And then Jared Goff is down at 16 as well. So
Okay. Yeah.
So I think
And that
I
was
thought
again
that was
right on.
Yeah, I think we were pretty interesting. I don't need to read the whole list after that because it's just the hodgepodge of quarterbacks. Number 32 was one Mr. Deshaun Watson. So That's all you need to know.
Exactly where we wanted him to. All right. I mean, there's gonna be people that have many differing opinions, and I mean, I have my flack with PFF,
Right,
but it's
everyone does.
actually nice to see that we're at least in the same wavelength.
No, PFF, I always say, is the greatest thing when it matches your beliefs, and it's the easiest thing to be like, oh, it's just PFF when it doesn't. So,
Well, it's just PFF. I will say, it probably doesn't deserve as much flack as I give it, but there's certain things that it like ranks or like whatever that you're like, this feels way out of left field, and not a single person I know believes this. Why is this like this?
yeah, but
There's just random outliers. Is really what it is.
for sure, for sure. Um, but yeah, that was a fun thing. I saw ESPN, they started doing their top 10 rankings. I know we're going to do our top 100 soon. The NFL 100 is out there. So a lot of ranking time. But I don't think that's what our topic of today is.
It is not. It is my guys. So why don't you hit it, Cody?
Yeah, that's my guy.
If you were listening in last year when we did my guys, we are going to do it the same way here. We are actually going to go beyond just picking one or two. We're going to pick one for every offensive position and a flex. So a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and a flex can be whatever position that's not quarterback. We don't super flex here. All right, Cody. Who wants to go first?
Well, what are we going to go in that order?
I mean, I don't care if we want to make this chaotic, but
I mean, I think we either start with quarterback, or let's just start with quarterbacks, because this is like the time again of the year where we'll throw out the like late quarterback bandwagon.
yep.
Obviously, it is super fun to have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson on your fantasy football team. And at some point, end of round 2, beginning of round 3, I see the value of taking them. But then I see the list of quarterbacks that even in your 12-man leagues, like if we're going by ADP right now and the top 12 quarterbacks, you have Jackson Dart, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, Bo Nix, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Tyler Shuck, Malik Willis, all undrafted. Like that's where like the levels come into play and why we're so into that. But my guy, it's really just the value, and he's probably the name that stuck out the most when I just read the people that go undrafted. Current quarterback 14, Mr. reigning MVP himself, on the current Super Bowl favorites, Los Angeles Rams. With Puka Nacua, they still have Devontae Adams. I don't know how. I understand him not being, because of his mobility, not being, a top tier quarterback, but I still don't understand how Matt Stafford isn't, after last year, and we're in that same boat, how he isn't getting more love.
I 100% agree. It's absolutely wild that he's that low. And even last year, I don't think he quite got the hype for how well he was doing, even in fantasy, as he deserved. He was a free agent near the beginning of the season. People picked him up, and I know he was still like kind of on and off benches for a bit. And then there was like some point in the middle of the season where everyone was finally like, Matt Stafford's doing very well, isn't he? And then proceeded to finish his QB3 in not only total points but points per game. I know there's a big distinction there when we're talking about this. I'm going to be talking back and forth in those two as well. Like the fact that like it doesn't have to be his age is why they dropped him that far off, because I know there's plenty of times where we see quarterbacks are like, oh, there's going to be regression to the mean, but that's like a massive regression.
Yeah, like I said, if you tell me with my last pick I can get Matt Stafford, like I will do that 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost feel comfortable enough to not take another quarterback and stack up some other stuff, or take another quarterback a round or two before that and be like, I'll figure it out because I have Matt Stafford that I'm comfortable with, and then some other guy for upside.
Yeah. Who's your guy?
I'm not going quite that far down the board, but I'm going to be fishing for upside, because if I'm not going to go out there and I'm not going to pick, the Allens and, Lamars of the world, I'm going to try to find somebody further down the list that has massive upside potential. And I'm going to go, call me a homer, sure, Jalen Hurts, because he's this year quarterback 7, 66th overall, so going in the 7th round in 10-teamers. And he's coming off of a bad year, which traditionally he normally does have bad years followed by good years. And he's coming off of a situation where he had his lowest number of rushing attempts in a season since his rookie year when he didn't play the full year. So I almost look at it as last year could probably be his floor. And he still finished right where he's being drafted at quarterback 7. So if I can be like, okay, solid, but you have the potential of if he does use the legs more or this offense works for him, I think it can get even better. I like that every day.
So that's 7 in points per game, 9 overall.
Yes.
So just I wanted to throw that out there. People, I don't want people fact checking us. The only thing I would push back on is I don't know how much his rushing attempts are going to go up under new offensive coordinator Sean Mannion. So I get some of the trepidation of, was that the new Jalen Hurts? But still, you're talking about getting a guy, that finished where he was drafted at last year. He still has that rushing ability. Obviously, the tush push wasn't as effective as last year, but they're still going to run it a ton when they're at the goal line, and touchdowns are, big when it comes to quarterbacks. So I don't hate that one, although he's just not my favorite player. So that's why he's not my guy. So, and we don't have to relive that whole conversation. However, I do want to throw an honorable mention that I almost made my guy, but I couldn't do it because I honestly don't know how good the team is going to be. Like, if you tell me this team is fighting for a playoff spot or fighting for the first round pick, I would believe you depending on which side you're on. But Kyler Murray, he is the quarterback that I will probably take with my last pick, assuming Matt Stafford isn't there, in every draft. After seeing what, Kevin O'Connell did with Sam Darnold, what he was able to do with Daniel Jones, even though he never got playing time, but then seeing him going into how much he improved in Indianapolis, seeing that situation unfold. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy did not work out. They had the revolving door quarterbacks last year, but getting a guy that has some rushing ability, has, some momentum to work off and play for a better contract, has elite weapons and Justin Jefferson, and then solid pieces around him and Juwan Jennings and Jordan Addison. Like, that guy, like Kyler Murray is set up for success. He always hasn't delivered on that success. We've fallen down the Kyler Murray rabbit hole before, but he is a guy, he's my late round flyer, not technically my guy, but the late round flyer that I wanted to give an honorable mention for.
I like it too. And I mean, piggybacking off what I was talking about when you were talking about Matt Stafford, if you ended up finishing your draft with Kyler Murray and Matt Stafford, I'm like, you're going to figure out how to make that work. You have upside. I think Stafford's a pretty reliable guy for that low, and then you have the chance that Kyler Murray returns to form and can get 18 to 20 points a game. In his limited time last year when he wasn't playing well on a bad team, he still had 15.6, and I like the fact that you brought up McConnell and how successful he's been with not only, whatever quarterbacks with retreads specifically too. Like even Carson Wentz had solid games with him, and
Carson Wentz looked the best he has in years.
Yeah.
Or since he left Philly in his few games before the shoulder injury in Minnesota. So
even with the shoulder injury, Carson Wentz looked decent.
Yeah, I think there is, real potential for like a Kyler Murray bounce back. So
again, listen to what we say every year. It seems like we're both still beating the table for late round quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you want to go first on running back, or should I take over?
You can go first.
Okay. This is going to be the highest ranked player I have in my guys, and it might be a little bit of a spicy one, but I wanted to quote our friends over at the Fantasy Footballers for bringing this stat out. Rookie running backs that were drafted in the top 10 of the NFL draft since, I believe it was 2010, have all finished in the top 10 in running back rankings in their rookie season. That includes names like Trent Richardson, who only worked out for a year, but it's fine. Christian McCaffrey was top 10 in PPR. Bijan Robinson, despite him being in that horrible split, was still RB9 in his rookie year. And then there were even more successful ones like Saquon finishes RB1 and Zeke finishes RB2. So my guy, if you haven't figured it out yet, is going to be Jeremiah Love. And it looks ugly. But I think if you look back, and I talked about Bijan, who was in a split, and there was other people in that backfield, even if he's in a split, there's still a chance he finishes as a top 10 running back. He's currently going RB13, 26 overall. Maybe he's not someone you try to use as like a zero running back or hero running back kind of strategy, but if you can snag him as an RB2, I think it's a very solid pick.
No, I think that is an interesting one. I saw that stat too, which caught me by surprise because even like last year, like I'm still trying to figure out. Oh, because they said wide running back one, right?
Finished as RB1. So, and I from what I've found, it's top 10, not even top 12. I haven't found someone who finished outside of RB10. McCaffrey might have been the one that you had to, skew the number a little bit because he was RB10 in PPR. But I mean, even yet, PPR was technically
Well,
standard scoring.
it's Genty, even from last year. He's 11 in PPR.
There you go. So
So yes,
then,
which
so even yet, if you're talking 12 team, like you're still right there.
no, well, and that's a good thing when we're talking about this too, and we'll talk more about this too throughout the off season as we get ready for drafts. Like when we say RB1, that doesn't necessarily mean the top player. That means 1 through 12. I know we predominantly play in 10-man leagues. The World Cup is 10-man.
10.
Our league is 10, but 12 is the standard most popular format of fantasy football. So 12 league teams. So, wide receiver 1 would be 1 through 12, 13 through 24 is wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and so on. Is you can do the rest of the math. I'm not counting by 12s on this podcast. So, but to your point, like it seems like a safe bet. And I also don't think, this isn't the running back, Genty was taken in the first round.
Yeah, I was actually going to look. His pre-draft rank was 15. His ADP ended up at 11 last year. So if you're comparing it to that, like people thought Genty was a bust because he didn't live up to that expectation. But if he was being drafted as RB13, 26 overall, he lived right on that line of that expectation.
Yeah. So, and that's where I think too, when you're looking at Jeremiah Love in this case, you already said the numbers, so I don't know why I'm trying to repeat them for you. And I just closed out of our Google Drive, so I don't know them. So, but he's not being drafted as, the first round. Like when Bijan came out, he was like a top 5 pick. Like that's not what you're getting with Jeremiah Love because people understand that the Arizona Cardinals aren't the greatest team in the NFL.
Yes, and I mean, I personally, if I'm going to jump on the Love bandwagon like I am, I'm hoping they get better. They still do have other weapons around him. I think quarterback's the biggest question. Can Brissett level the ship enough if they actually figure out his contract situation, which I'm sure they will. So it's not like the cabinets are completely empty. Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison are going to help him, help get some pressure off of the run game at least a little bit. Or Trey McBride, who I didn't even mention there, the big one.
Yep.
There's a chance.
No, I think
decent offense.
And I think the running back room gets a little bit lighter as we get into training camp. Like I still expect a Trey Benson to get moved, or maybe even a James Conner to get moved. And it's kind of like Love and Algier as the 1-2 punch. So
agreed.
That would be the only thing. If we get to late August and they still have the 4 running backs, then it gets a little bit dicey. But I like you calling it out now before the trades have even happened. Which I guess that means it's my turn to give you my running back, and I'm going with a guy that has switched teams this year. He has been good. He's been in the shadows of Jahmyr Gibbs over the last couple of years, and he was still a startable guy with a guy in front of him. He goes to the Houston Texans, where he gets to be the guy. That's David Montgomery, current RB20, 48 overall. I just don't know how you don't like this value. Like this is a guy I could see finishing as an RB1. I think the CJ Stroud collapse in the playoffs has a lot of people scared for the Houston Texans this year. That Texans roster might be the second best roster in the NFL.
From top to bottom, I agree.
From behind the Rams, I would still put them 1 from top to bottom. But from top to bottom, it might be the Houston Texans. They're always going to have question marks about that offensive line. CJ Stroud's always going to be there, but they have a solid piece in David Montgomery. And, they didn't have Joe Mixon last year, but Joe Mixon was a really good, an RB1 2 seasons ago in his first year in Houston. So I really like David Montgomery, and he's a guy that I'm going to try to grab in as many places as possible this upcoming season.
I like that one a lot. I think Montgomery still showed he has something in the tank. They're still going to have some guys help take pressure off of him, which is going to be a good thing. I mean, aging running back, you still have Woody Marks in the building to, do some splits. But I mean, you even look at it in the other way. Who's more likely to be the hammer? Montgomery, hopefully getting some touchdowns, and he is by far the best running back in the room. So I like it.
Yeah, and I'm going to continue this trend of throwing out an honorable mention as well. A little bit further down, current RB 25, overall 55, Bayshell Tootin, the Jacksonville Jaguars, replacing the Travis Etienne, Achan, however you want to pronounce it, situation. He would be a guy I would keep an eye on. Not a guy that I want to go into my building on, but if he is like, my flex, or an RB2 and a wide receiver heavy or draft, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, honestly, I think he's getting the down votes for like being on Jacksonville, but if he's going to get RB1 touches, I like it.
Yeah. And I'm not high on the Chris Rodriguez stuff in Jacksonville. So
I mean, every single one of those Washington guys were mediocre. What makes you think it's going to be that much different when he goes to Jacksonville?
For sure.
I guess I can move us to wide receiver.
Sure.
All right. At wide receiver, I am looking at a second-year player, so we're hoping for not a sophomore slump. But I'm going to go to Carolina, and I'm going to pick on Tet McMillan. So I'm trying to just get back to my numbers here. Sorry. Tet McMillan finished as wide receiver 26 in points per game last year. And I think if you remember, there was a lot of pounding the table in like the later, going into the middle of the season, like week 5, week 6. It's like this guy's still performing very well and hasn't scored a touchdown. He did end up racking up 7, which, really helped his numbers inflate near the end. But if we're talking about a guy who is on a young team, they made the playoffs, we're thinking they can make another jump, and they're in a weak division, I love the upside for someone like Tet McMillan. So taking him 41 overall with round 5 in a 10-teamer, I see slam dunk. If you're getting him as your wide receiver 2 or your flex, you can feel comfortable.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to continue the young trend of year 2 wide receivers for my guy. And if you have been listening since the draft of last year, this has been one of my favorite prospects, and I hate the team that he is on. But I will still respect him, and I'll still call him my guy for fantasy purposes. And that is one Mr. Luther Burden III of the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears, I think they're a team that, could regress some just because of how many close games they won. But I think with Ben Johnson there, the offense is going to put up points. I think an underrated thing that not many people think about is one of the big talking points for the Chicago Bears this offseason has been getting Caleb Williams' completion percentage up. And when I hear that, I hear short passes, screen plays, get the ball out of his hands quicker. And who is the perfect guy to be the, on the recipiating end of that? And that is Luther Burden III. He's going, he is currently on the consensus ADP board, wide receiver 21. So another wide receiver 2 flex option. If you're into PPR, like might even be a little bit higher in that situation. But Luther Burden III is a guy that I will root for, but I can't root for his team.
There's 2 reasons why I want to back you up and love this. Is 1, DJ Moore's gone. More targets opened up. 2, Roma Dunze is going to be the name that gets all the hype there. And he had such a great start last year and then completely fell off a cliff. And some people are going to say it's injury, and I'm sure it's not going to be as bad as it was near the end of the season last year. But I think that finish to the season opens the door for Luther Burden to have a shot to be the wide receiver 1 there. And you're getting him at a wide receiver 2 on a team value.
No, I agree. And I'm glad you brought up Roma Dunze because that's one thing I wanted to talk about, but forgot. He had that foot injury, and that's what really slowed him down. And there's been it's not been to the level of the Malik Neighbors that we talked about at the top of the show, but will he ever bounce back to his full abilities because of this foot injury, or is he going to have to learn how to adapt, after this injury, which, players have to go through, and it could take some time too. But he might be a guy that's fighting through a foot injury the rest of his career. So that only makes Luther Burden even more enticing.
Yeah, I like it. wanted to like jump on the Roma Dunze bandwagon, and I kind of like talked myself out of it as I kept looking at rankings and stuff. But Burden really probably is the diamond in the rough here, so I'm glad you brought him up too.
Yeah. I also Roma Dunze was like my favorite prospect 3 years ago, and then or 2 years ago, I guess, and then Luther Burden was last year, and just the fact that they both end up in Chicago hurts my heart.
Yeah, I feel for you over there.
And Justin Jefferson's Viking, thanks to your team.
Don't remind me of that one. That still bothers me to this day. And don't worry, Minnesota fans. Don't let us live it down still, despite everything that's happened since.
That's understandable.
Yeah. Moving to Cody's favorite position, tight end. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. I have Dalton Kincaid at my tight end, my guy. Tight end 12, 114th overall. Just like we're pounding the table for late round quarterbacks, there's a lot of late round tight ends that I really like on this list, and I don't think I would go out there with just drafting Kincaid and being like, I'm good. Even though when he was healthy last year, that beginning of the season run he had was great, almost every week over, in double digits, some weeks happened 20. But if you would pair him with somebody who's going in the late rounds like Dallas Goedert, who had a lot of touchdowns last year, Isaiah Likely in New York, who's going to get some extra touches or extra targets now, even Mark Andrews now that there's some guys gone down in Baltimore, I think Dalton Kincaid can lead your charge, and you have someone then to back it up for upside if he does have injury problems. But if he stays healthy, I don't see how he doesn't outlive that tight end 12 price tag.
Yeah, you said it. I don't really love the tight end position. I think it's, hard to predict. It's one of those things though. We're big on late round quarterbacks. We often take tight ends late, but I do think this is like where the value in quarterback, there isn't as drastic. Like this is where I'm okay taking the tight end in round 3, round 4, if you're going to get, a Brock Bowers, Trey McBride. Obviously George Kittle's going to fall down some drafts because of his potential injury, so he's a name. But in most years, you're taking him like to get one of those elite guys because that's where you start to see some of the value differentiate. But I'm going to go for my guy, a guy in the middle, and I'm going to go Sam Laporta. He had a little bit of a down year last year, and the biggest reason I am going to go with him is one, he's proven that he can be a top tight end in the league in the past, and then also obviously they went through their offensive coordinator last year, then they switched play callers, and then they brought the guy over from Arizona as to be their offensive coordinator. And you might be thinking, Arizona, like that team wasn't very good, but their best player is the tight end that they get involved the most, and that's Trey McBride. So, bringing over a guy that likes to feature a tight end that you already have an athletic pass-catching tight end, Sam Laporta could surprise some people this season and maybe make last year look like a little bit of a fluke. So that'd be a guy that I would target from the tight end position in the middle rounds.
You definitely getting an injury discount out of him too, with him only playing 9 games last year. But if you sort it by points per game, tight end 7, yeah. He was still right there. Like it was uglier than it had been, but it was still a fine tight end season for the games he played.
And Jared Goff's better when he's connecting with Sam Laporta, like when he has that out there.
Definitely safety valve, get some red zone work. I like it. I think that's enough tight ends.
Too much
tight
kickers.
Kickers. I
Just
like
kidding.
Brandon Aubrey.
Yep, I like Brandon Aubrey as well. My Houston Texans is my DST my guy. All right, now we can go to flex.
I didn't even make a DST my guy. That's fine. Cool. Give me the Cleveland Browns again. Just be fun.
Interesting.
Flex. I have a wide receiver in my flex. I'm sure Cody does too, because all he does is draft wide receivers. But I actually have one of Cody's, maybe not my guys, but one of his guys that has his heart. And somebody who I think is similar to Matt Stafford, funny enough, on the same team. There's a lot of regression in this ranking in ADP. Davante Adams. Davante Adams finished as a top 10 wide receiver last season. When you're looking at him in points per game, he was 8th. In total points, he was also 8th. Right down the line there. But he is now all the way down at wide receiver 25, going at 54th overall. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and finish as a top 10 wide receiver again. I think teams were starting to bracket him in the red zone, and that's going to be a lot of, nerf touchdown potential and such. But there's so many other things to watch for in that Rams offense, and Stafford has a connection with Devontae Adams that it is ridiculous to think that he's going to finish as a flex player in my mind. He's at least a wide receiver 2 that you're getting at a wide receiver 3 price tag.
Yeah, and if he is a flex player, that's still a top end flex player that you got in
flex territory.
Right. So
yeah.
And like this is the exact situation. Like if you go running back heavy at the top of your draft and end up with Adams as your RB, your wide receiver 2, or heck, even if he has to be your wide receiver 1 because you go that heavy, you double up at the end of round 1, 2, and then you get spicy and take a tight end or to essentially be your wide receiver 1 and end up with Adams in round 4. I mean, that's not how I would build a
not
team.
Not even round
everyone...
4. He's going in round 5 or 6, depending on 10 or 12.
Yeah. So you might even still be your wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
But like, I like that one a lot. Obviously, Devontae Adams will always have a special place in my heart too. And just like you went young with your wide receiver 1 and veteran for your flex, I'm going to follow that same mold. I'm going to go with a guy that switch teams. He's replacing some players out there. Hopefully he can stay healthy, which this team does not have a huge track record of doing. But I am all in on the Mike Evans in San Francisco this season. I think he's going to ball out well. I think he is a great fit to fill in for the Juwan Jennings role, be a guy in the red zone that can rely on, be a guy for Brock Purdy that doesn't have to rush George Kittle back, even though he seems to be ahead of progress right now. I just think it's a great fit for San Fran. I feel like it's a guy that Kyle Shanahan has always wanted, and I think they're going to draw up some plays for him. And he's been a guy for years that it's like, when is he going to fall off? And I know he finally didn't hit his 1,000-yard season because of injuries. Hopefully that trend doesn't continue this year and the injuries stay, away from him. But if he's healthy, getting him, overall 44 as that, wide receiver 2 flexible option, depending on how your draft is going, I think he could be a home run for a lot of people.
I was shocked how good he looked coming back from the injury last year when they finally did get him back near the end of the season. And he went off for, I was trying to stall to see how many yards, and I couldn't find the game fast enough. But I feel like it was like 150 in his game back from the injured list. Like, if there was any doubt that Mike Evans was losing a step, I think it was gone at that point. The injuries is the biggest concern, and I'm glad you brought it up because you have to almost treat him as like you're going to hopefully get 14 games out of him, and hopefully he's that difference maker down the stretch, and it's not how he's not hurt down the stretch. But you obviously can't draft for injuries either, and the ceiling is massive on a team that's losing Ayuk and lost Juwan Jennings. So there's plenty of targets opened up, and he can be a perfect running mate with Ricky Pearsall and then George Kittle as well.
Yeah. So I like my guys. I know we talked a little bit before the show how like this season, like there's not as many guys that I'm like super convicted on. I mean, I like all the guys I just said, but like I was like hardcore pound on the table for Devontae Adams last year. I was like, I know Puka's there, but he's still
nailed your 2 last year, 2 wide receivers last year too, because it was Devontae Adams and George Pickens.
Like, and they both finished in the top 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to get that lucky this year. I might have went a little bit too deep for that, but I think there's some really good players, and there's a lot. It's really about how you build your team to see how they want to fit together.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing to note here is a lot of this is not like, oh, because I said Jeremiah Love, I would take him in round 1. That's not at all the case. It's guys that we like at or a little before where their ADP is right now.
Yeah. And it's like we call it my guys, but this episode, at least from my perspective, feels of like, best values at the moment.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I mean, if you're sitting there, and that's where it's also hard too, because right, like if you're the 101 and take Jahmyr Gibbs, you're probably not going to turn around and take Jeremiah Love, at the top of round 3. But if you take, if you double up at the end of round 1 with like a Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, or Justin Jefferson, there's a lot of running backs around him, but at the current ADP spot. But let's just say you go CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, getting a guy like Jeremiah Love, or getting a guy Why am I blanking on my own? That is so embarrassing that I'm blanking on my own. Uh, my guy,
Mike
David
Evans.
Montgomery. No,
Oh, David
if you get
Montgomery.
like if
Oh, you're
you
talking
double
running
up,
back. My bad.
if you go wide receiver, right, and you
Mhm.
go like I said, you're in a 10-man league. Justin Jefferson's 10, C Lamb is 9. One of them falls. You double up, right? Value's too good, and then you come back around and you can get a David Montgomery. Like I'm loving your team build right there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the nice thing about how we scheduled our offseason out last year, and we're doing it again this year, is with doing so many mock drafts, we're really going to be able to walk through a lot of different scoring formats and ADPs and like how we would build teams, even because there's not a single time where we're going to build a team exactly the same way every time. Drafts fall differently. You have to stay fluid, and like there's going to be guys that we take more times than not. It's just how it works. When we like a guy, we're going to have him fit into our team more often. But knowing as many guys as you can and who you like in certain team builds is the way that you're going to win your league.
Absolutely. Are we about to do our shortest episode in a really long time?
Yeah, unless you want to finish with some trivia.
You have trivia?
No, you're the one that normally likes bringing up that 30-second trivia thing.
Oh, we can do that. All right. George wants to do some trivia, so we're going to do some trivia to wrap up the show.
Do you want me to clear your overlay for you here?
Yes, please.
There you go.
The daily NFL trivia game. Let's see how well we do. This stresses me out because I have to like read the questions for you and the audience, but I only have a certain amount of time to answer it. 15 seconds. Prove you know ball. Pigskin 5. Not a sponsor, but a fun little game. Are you ready?
Ready.
This is an ad. We're going to skip that. Here we go. How many Super Bowls has the Philadelphia Eagles won? 1, 6, 2, 4.
2.
Guess the career running back. 3,027 rushing yards, 16 rushing touchdowns, 4.6 yards per carry. Michael Bennett, MJD, Julius Jones, Garrison here. I'm saying MJD because that's the person I know.
That's way too few rushing yards.
All right. Well, who are we doing? Oh, we missed it.
Whatever.
Washington Commanders were originally called the Boston Braves. True or false?
False? I don't know.
Wrong.
Okay.
Which of these was an actual NFL player? Aladolfo Winterbottom, Devon Van Der Berg, Breshawn Fender, Captain Munnerlin.
Captain Mutterlin.
Yep, I knew that one. Which RB has the most career rushing touchdowns? Jim Brown, Sean Alexander, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton.
Jim Brown?
Walter Payton.
Walter Payton. That was my second guess. Darn.
So we sucked.
Yeah, we did. Sorry I asked, dude.
Yeah, embarrassing. Embarrassing.
Well, who was supposed to know Garrison Hurst? Let's be honest.
Yeah. You know what? Heck, we got 15 minutes. We got to redeem ourselves with the one and only.
Not the Immaculate Grid. My enemy.
Hey, we went 9 for 9 last time.
That's the only time we've ever gone 9 for 9.
And we're going to do it again right here. So if you haven't paid attention to a Couch Champs game night because you think that's a dumb title and don't want to click on it, and you've been here for some rankings, you made it this far, here's a little preview. We ditched the trivia. We failed miserably. Thanks for sticking through. Immaculate Grid, 3x3 grid. We got at the intersections match. So across the top, we got the Atlanta Falcons, San Francisco 49ers, and 10 plus rushing touchdowns in a season. Down the left side, we have the Colts, Steelers, and Bears. So now we have to make some connections. George, take it away.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, because I have all the answers here.
Yeah, this one's tough.
Yeah.
There's not one. I mean, I feel like the 10 rushing touchdowns are pretty easy.
I mean, we can go deeper, but we got you can go literally Jonathan Taylor, Jerome Bettis, Matt Forte, straight down that side probably.
Yeah. Even maybe even did James Conner ever have 10 in Pittsburgh?
He might have.
So I'm thinking I could use Frank Gore here at Colts,
Yeah, that's definitely the easy answer, and I'm okay with easy answers in Immaculate Grid most of the time.
Frank Gore, we'll get him off the list there. 47% said him. Yep, not surprised there.
Mhm.
Steelers, 49ers. Oh man, there's definitely been some crossover. There's Chicago Bears. Oh, this one, Devin Hester.
Oh, for Bears and Falcons, that's a
Yep,
good one.
probably another pretty high one.
21's lower at least.
Cordarrelle Patterson.
Nice pull for Falcons Steelers.
And
14%
then
said that.
Falcons Colts, Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's the obvious. That's good.
65.
65%.
And you know what? We'll just finish out the Colts here and get JT. I hope that man definitely had 10 touchdowns at some point. Jonathan Taylor. Perfect.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, I think, had 10 last year. So,
All right. So we're only 2 away from going 9 for 9. It's not going to be the highest score, the most prolific one, but there's definitely some guys here that there. I feel like there's like a DB. No, I can't think of his name, but that's where I'm kind of thinking here.
first person when I thought that was Richard Sherman. He was only Seattle and San Fran.
Let's see. Chicago, San Fran. Is there any wide receiver carryover? Any running back carryover?
Where'd Brandon Marshall play before Chicago and New York? Miami.
Yeah, he played in Miami. I don't think it's not like a recent, it would be like the equivalent to was there like a running back maybe that I can think of? Brother.
There
Whose
probably
idea
was, because
this?
there was a lot of those random backup running backs that did good for like 3 games in San Fran and then went elsewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, there's not a quarterback that sticks out in my mind for either of them. I mean, they haven't been very deep at, the Bears have had a lot of quarterbacks, but like the Steelers, they haven't had too many. This is tough. There's definitely a DB that but I can't, and that is going to drive me crazy until I can think of it for the 49ers. And like those teams, I both think like defense, like there has to be someone.
I mean, San Fran, you think linebackers, but I'm not thinking of any big name linebackers that were crossover either.
I don't know if he played for.
Who are you thinking?
I don't remember his first name. I think his last name was Gibson. But I think it started with a T, and there's too many Gibsons for me to.
Yeah, way too many.
He was a safety. All right, let's get like Jerome Bettis never played for San Fran, did he?
No, I don't know of anywhere that Jerome Bettis played that wasn't Pittsburgh.
Okay. So you want to say him for 10 touchdowns?
Sure. And then I thought Matt Forte here.
Did Forte. All right, I'm cool with going Forte. That was my first thought. I was wondering if like he ever got 10 on the ground, but
that's a fair point because he was kind of a mesh back.
Nope, it was not Matt Forte. So we'll probably have to go with like I mean, heck, I don't think David Montgomery might have got 10 when he was still in Chicago.
Montgomery might have gotten 10.
I don't know. Did Swift didn't have 10 last year?
Don't
But did
think
he have it
so.
the year before? Let's see. Wow, the Forte one's really throwing me for. What was
Well, there's a lot
Thomas
of
Jones? Is that a guy? That is a
that's a
guy.
guy.
I don't know if
It's not a
he actually
guy I
had
would have
10.
thought of.
I mean, I could guess it, but I could also do a Chester Taylor guess.
Wow.
Nope. Sorry. I was
At
if
this
I could have
point,
pulled
that's so one guess left. Just I would say go David Montgomery.
Montgomery. Nope.
He
We're
wasn't
gonna
either.
all right. Look, we're gonna keep guessing on this one because I'm doing it now. Nope. Thomas
Are there
Swift.
any running back? So there's no quarterbacks that threw for 4,000 yards there. There's no running backs that ran for 10 touchdowns either. Like, is there anybody other than him? Because I mean, Walter Payton obviously is the obvious guess.
All right. Now we can keep guessing here as well. We'll spend 2 more minutes on this, and then we can get the heck out of here. Is there any names, because now we're in overtime, that like you thought of? Like Antoine Bethea, I don't think he did,
No,
but that popped up for me. This dude never played, but Jason Verrett. Nope, he never played for Pittsburgh. He might have been on the team, but just never played because of injuries.
I'm even trying to think back to offense. There was definitely no quarterbacks that overlapped.
Not that I can think of.
I don't think there was any running backs I can think of that can overlap.
I mean, there's definitely a running back that is overlapped in those two places. I just don't know.
I don't know them, yeah.
Like,
There's a lot of random wide receivers that have played for Pittsburgh over the last few years.
name a couple. I'll just guess them just so we
Oh
can.
my god. So random that I can't think of names off the top of my head.
Nope. I tried.
Dante Pettis was a good one.
He definitely played for San Fran. Actually, he played for that one.
He played for the Bears.
I don't think he played. Oh God. There we go.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah, I forgot he went to. I think he played on both of them last year. So let's hear the most popular ones were Robbie Gould, and then a random Emmanuel Sanders wide receiver. So Mike Vick.
Oh, Emmanuel Sanders does make sense.
Yeah. All right, let's just for the. So they have 7 running backs all time to have 10 touchdowns or more.
So I can't see this on your screen anymore, so you have to just name them out.
All right, so Raymont Harris, 1997.
Okay.
Rashawn Salam, 1995. Neil Anderson, 3 times. Walter Payton, 5 times. Gale Sayers in 65. Rick. So they have not had a running back have 10 or more touchdowns in 29 years. The last one was 1997.
No wonder why. Like, I mean, I get we probably should have thought of Walter Payton sooner, or even Gale Sayers, but the fact that they haven't had 10 rushing touchdowns in the new millennium is crazy.
Yeah, and if you want to take the thing off the screen, I am going to look one thing up before we go here because now I'm curious about Matt Forte's stats to see if he had any 10 total touchdown seasons. All right, so he had 3 seasons of a combined receiving and rushing touchdowns. But never 10. He had 9 in 2013, which was his best season, and accompanied that by 3 receiving touchdowns. So we were on the right path, just wasn't rushing guys. So
Darn.
well, we filled our hour.
We did.
Impromptu immaculate grid that we failed, but not as bad as we did the Pigskin 5. So I'll take
We were
it.
due for an immaculate grid fail after our last game night that we passed it. Spoiler alert if you're going to go back and check it out, since it's not really a time-sensitive episode. I encourage you to do that.
No, definitely for sure. George, before I hit this music,
Yeah.
are we back next week? I don't remember what our schedule looks like.
We are back next week, and if I am not mistaken, we're going to start our Fantasy Top 100.
Fantasy Top 100. So I need to get going because I need to start prepping and doing some research on who I am going to draft and all those good things and get ready for that Top 100. So make sure you're checking us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch next Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, or in your podcast feed the next morning everywhere you listen to podcasts. We appreciate it. Follow us on social media at The Couch DMs. I'm Cody Roadcap. That's George Kirk, and we will talk to you all